Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, that's a CBT therapist, and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy the contents in this channel, this is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders that took place exactly a year ago. This is a heartbreaking case. I hope you get the correct justice. Samantha Nelson is Kaylee Congav's older sister. They share the same father. On the 6th of November, Samantha decided to come on social media, I believe once again. It sounded like she came before, but this time it became viral because she made claims that Steve is her father, biological father, which her sister Alivida, which they share the same father, hasn't denied that. So Steve is her father, but she says that Steve has never been around for her. She did not get to know her half sisters and brothers because of her father. She personally said that Steve and his wife, Kaylee's mother, Christy, I believe, have refused her to have any contact with her siblings and with her father. She said Steve had to choose one side of the family, and he chose Christy, Kaylee, Alivida, Steve Jr., Audrey, and the other youngest girl. I can imagine what she's gone through. I can imagine what Steve is going through. He just lost his daughter Kaylee, and now having this issue being brought up on social media doesn't make it any much easier for him. But I really hope he gets a chance or decides to talk to his daughter and his granddaughter, because it sounds like the daughter is really suffering. And she looks like she's suffering of mental health struggles, like she said, or sobriety. She's tried to live sober for a very long time, which I think that is really good. I really hope she continues doing that, because this can go quickly into a wrong direction. And I believe even in counseling and therapy, we advise our clients to deal with the issue if they have an issue, because the more you prolong it, the harder it gets to deal with it in the future. So Samantha is really hurting. She believes that her father, Steve, is not contacting her, and that they had a good contact before Katie's death, but she believes that the contact has gone back to a difficult path. She wrote this on TikTok, on a page, I believe. I believe she's the oldest child. I wonder what her relationship was with Kaylee, because Alivida, the older sister, said that she didn't have any relationship with Kaylee. But Samantha clearly says that she used to speak to Kaylee on Facebook. She wrote this message to her sister, biological sister Kaylee Congalvis.
So it's almost been a year since the anniversary of my sister's death. I wanted to go on here and talk about my dad, Steve Gonzalez, and elaborate on my perspective on things and how it's affected my life. I didn't know how to go about that. I don't know how to go about that. So I decided that I would write from a journal entry that I wrote today. And I feel really vulnerable doing this. So anyway, this is what I wrote today. Hi, Steve. I'm really feeling exactly why I've been so bothered by Steve. I understand now that when he would write me for all those years, I did not have a fixed idea or example of what his voice would sound like or how his movements would look while speaking. Seeing him on the screen so often expressing his love for his daughter and its deep sadness that he feels because she is gone is all expressions that I wanted him to have for me. I feel like I owe my sister an apology for why I'm so upset with him, because it doesn't have anything to do with her, just like her death doesn't have anything to do with me, but we are still intertwined nonetheless. Her unaliving shows me exactly the capability that Steve has to be a father. I didn't get that, and she did. Please bear with me, because I don't really want people to get the wrong idea here. I'm just trying to express myself. Okay. Her death shook an entire nation. And when I was told not to speak about it, it really hurt. And when I found out I wasn't allowed to speak to my dad about it, and the media and TikTok especially had all sorts of accusations and borderline obsessions about the case, and I was blasted for simply asking people to remember that the victims have families and that this subject is sensitive. This resulted in my other sister, Olivia, going online accusing me of gaining clout off of Kaylees' death. Obviously, this wasn't my intention at all. And though I was not allowed to talk to Kaye often, her and I did connect via Facebook and other platforms. And Olivia and I did spend physical time together on more than one occasion because she was the oldest besides myself, and it was more appropriate. Steve got my mom pregnant as a teenager and left us both. He also refused to let my stepdad adopt me at the time, and always had this unspoken claim over me that I think he wanted to keep a reminder that I am in fact his child. I don't really know why that is to this day. Exactly. But over the duration of my entire life, we spoke in private through thousands of emails since I was a child. His wife would never approve of this and always shut me down every time or ignored me entirely when I would try to reach out to my sisters and my brother. So being told to go underground and keep to myself after all this really set me into a really dark night of the soul. Seeing my dad's face and some of the more unsettling comments opened an abandonment issue, an abandonment wound that I thought I had since healed by the connection that I had developed with Steve before this had happened. In a lot of ways, Steve became my best friend. And even though I had never met him in person since I was a very young child, I still had a lot of love and a lot of curiosity about my family and where it came from, and that never went away. I watched him and my sisters grow up through the pictures he would send me, and I felt like I knew Kaye. I felt like I knew Kaye since she was a little girl, and I was kept secret long before she even knew about me. I had no desire to force myself into their family when I was again repeatedly told that Steve was given an ultimatum to either choose me or his other children by his wife, Christy. So needless to say that he chose his other family. And I respected that. However, I always held hope that I'd get to meet them all someday, especially because I really enjoyed the time that I did get to spend with Olivia. And I would have given anything to meet Kaye. God, it's hard to read. Perfect strangers are grieving her death, but I'm not supposed to, and I'm her blood relative. I changed my last name from Samantha Gonzalez to Samantha Nelson when I was 18. because it felt like the only thing I had control over, and I wasn't part of that side of my family. Even though I looked like Steve and I had his wit and apparently his mannerisms, I still wasn't a true Gonzalez. I also wanted to have the same last name as my little sisters on my mom's side because being a big sister was very important to me. Since Kaylee's been taken away from us, I'll never be given the chance to do that in whatever way that might have looked like, in all the ways that I had dreamt of. I didn't get to say goodbye either. I was hardly even given the opportunity to say hello without her mother knowing. And by no means trying to bash my dad or his wife for that matter, but I had to deal with this all alone. And when this happened, it really just, it spiraled me in the wrong direction. It really triggered a lot of abandonment, the wounds, and that resulted in me self-medicating in unhealthy ways. I started drinking a lot and isolating, and basically everybody was, fixated on Kaylee's death, and I was in a fight for my life that Steve completely disregarded. And when I had made my first initial video, Steve told me to take it down because it had caused drama in their family. And I by no means was trying to make things more challenging for him. I had no desire to look like I had dropped into victim mentality, and I had enough emotional awareness to know that I needed to get some help processing this too. So I got help with sobriety, and I weaved in and out of rehab and Oxford houses, and really working on my mental health. And that being said, I'm aware that this case is bigger than me, and it doesn't have anything to do with me in a lot of ways, but it did affect my life. And if I could speak to Kaylee today, I would tell her that I'm so incredibly sorry that this happened to her, and that she is so loved, that she has millions of people praying and fighting for justice for her. And I'd tell her that I don't understand why this happened to her, and I'd express how thankful that I am that she had a dad that I didn't, because all little girls deserve that. So yeah, this year I just want to reiterate for people to be kind on the internet, and yeah.
I hope and pray Samantha gets help, gets therapy. I wish she can get therapy with her father, Steve, and her stepmother too, as a whole family. It's sad because I'm sure Steve and his wife are hurting for their loss, but this young woman is fighting for her loss too, of not having a father. And like she said, she's going through a lot of mixed emotions, abandonment issues, etc. It's sad and unfortunate that they lost Kaylee, but I hope they can make amends with Samantha, because I'm sure Kaylee would have wanted that too, for a family to be tighter. And Samantha's daughter, that's Steve's granddaughter, needs family in her life too. They all need to go to therapy together, I believe, because all are struggling losses. The loss of Kaylee, the loss of a father and a daughter, a stepmother and a daughter. Let's pray for them. Please like, share, and subscribe. Condolence to the 4 victims. May justice be done. And I hope they do it. They do therapy for Samantha's sake, and for the whole family to heal, and for Kaylees' sake too.